have these people, white people, that move into these neighborhoods that have no, gentrification is violence, it's colonization 100%. They have no respect, they have no understanding for the cultural norms and customs of the place that they're moving into. It goes back to this idea of white, so I gotta be right and shit gotta be my way. It is violence enacted against the residents of the neighborhood. It pushes people out, and it can even become actual state-sanctioned violence, as we've seen all across the country. There's a really famous example, I can't think of his name right now, but out in LA, a kid that had lived in his neighborhood his whole entire life, he's sitting in a park, minding his own business. These white people have moved to the neighborhood, they see him in the park, they don't like it. Who is this fucking kid? Non-black, Hispanic kid, Latinx kid. Who is this kid in the park? I don't like it. They called the police on him. He's minding his own business. He's not doing anything. He's sitting in a public park. They called the police on him. The police came, they shot him and killed him. That's violence. That's state-sanctioned violence in the form of gentrification. They're pushing other people out and they don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck where you go. I don't give a fuck if you have to live on the street. I literally don't care. Just get out.
This is Detroit. It is a city with a complex story. It is both collapsing and gentrifying at the same time. Back in 2014, Spike Lee famously expressed his disdain for the forces of gentrification in New York.
And why does it take influx of white New Yorkers in the South Bronx, in Harlem, in Bed-Stuy, in Crown Heights for the facilities to get better? The garbage wasn't picked up every motherfucking day when I lived in 165 Washington Park. PS20 was not good. PS11, Rothschild, 294. So why the police went around? When you see white mothers pushing their babies in strollers 3 o'clock in the morning to 125th Street, that must tell you something.
These criticisms reflect a now familiar narrative in cities all over the U.S. As wealthier residents flow back into once low-income, once minority neighborhoods, longtime residents get pushed out. The effects of gentrification are obvious to those who have grown up in historically minority urban neighborhoods. Oftentimes, these communities are torn apart by housing inaffordability, and as higher income majority white residents move in, policing increases, causing a hostile environment for what used to be a neighborhood. Corey McKinney, a Detroit resident, has seen his neighborhood change drastically in the past decade. He has witnessed the vast majority of his neighbors be pushed out by upper-class white residents.
They got pushed out. Fuck yeah, they got pushed out. Like, you know, like if you weren't paying your property taxes, they coming and swooping it right up under you. I mean, like that's what happened to, a lot of people here. Just wasn't paying their property taxes for like a year, might have owed $700 on it, you know, and got a swoop from right up under them and kicked out, you know, or had to start paying rent to the person who bought the house, you know. That happened to a few houses on my block. That block over there is the definition of gentrified. You know, you don't see a black face over there. You know, all white owned businesses, you know, walking their dogs, you feel me? And what's so crazy is over there, it really used to go down, you know? And even still, you go further up Van Dyke, you go to Mac. I mean, like you even go to my block on Sheridan, right? Like, you know, the white people who bought the houses and they living in there, you know, walk down the street, they dogs at night, you know, like they in the suburbs.
Even though Corey's family has been in this neighborhood for generations, they face a lot of pressure to move out.
I don't know if they're real estate agents. I don't know who these people are riding up and down the street. You know, white dudes, nice car, nice suits. You feel me? But, you know, occasionally you'll come outside, see them taking pictures of your house. You know, you come outside, ask them what they're doing. Oh, we're just for the city, and they leave. You know? I mean, like, I mean, we haven't really, we pay our property taxes, but, you know, like, I mean, it's like that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? You didn't grow up seeing white guys in fly suits flying down Sheridan Street. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Gentrification is not only a cultural issue, but an ethical one, as we see the erasure of people of color from predominantly and historically black cities. This phenomenon has been documented and dissected by many experts like Candace Miller.
I'm Candace Miller, and I'm a sociologist. Actually, I'm a PhD candidate in sociology, but soon to be graduating. My research focuses on race, culture, and urban transformation. I would say that gentrification is not a sort of black and white phenomenon, and I don't mean that in terms of race, right? I mean that there's a lot of gray area where there are both positive and negative benefits. I think because it is an economic process, right? I mean, certainly culture, economic, political, right? All of those things overlap. They're never quite distinct. But because it's tied so much to economics, right? There's certainly a class element to it. But in the US, right, class and race are very closely intertwined as well. And so it ends up, I think, disproportionately impacting Black people in a negative way, right? Because, they don't have the assets, the wealth to sort of stay in areas to maintain. I mean, you heard from the other person, right, about property taxes being a major issue, right? And so those are economic processes that have very real racial outcomes that really influence people's, where people are able to live.
One of the most voiced concerns by people of color in these neighborhoods is over-policing that occurs when white residents move in.
I think that's one of the sort of most salient and significant grievances for people who are, who have been in a neighborhood for a long time and sort of seen it through various sort of, transitions, economic transitions, primarily. I think that's one of the largest grievances because now all of a sudden, right, because policing, right, should be, now there's a debate about whether it actually is at this point, particularly for communities of color, but policing should be a community good, right? It should be a resource that we all depend on as, sort of citizens of the world or of the society that we live in, right? To not have that, right, when you have lower socioeconomic status or when you have, a predominantly minority neighborhood, and then to have it, right, as soon as white people come. I think people notice that. We can talk all about the culture of sort of policing in this country, right, and how it disproportionately sort of targets Black and brown people, right? But that kind of goes hand in hand. Like if you have this influx of more affluent people, right, who have enjoyed in other spaces sort of, great policing where the police are only there to help, right, and to monitor and to try to prevent crime from happening. And you've all of a sudden moved those people into a place, right? And you also have this other group of people who have primarily been the target of policing, right? It sort of stands that would follow, that those people would be, maybe now have to confront police more and certainly with negative confrontations with police. And I think that's one of the hardest things to sort of communicate to gentrifiers, right? I mean, to sort of get them to understand that for people to be able to walk their dogs at night, right? For people to be able to run at night. That may at the same time mean for someone who is Black or brown, who's not doing anything wrong, right, not committing a crime, that may mean that they now have to be confronted much more frequently with police contact,
Gentrification will continue unless lawmakers and policymakers put into consideration the cultural significance and historical background of these neighborhoods.